Hey FishTube, how's it going? So I got a couple requests for the vitamins, how I use the dry vitamins, but also I want to kind of go over a couple ways that I've actually researched, and I find it just works better to use live foods. So the baby brine shrimp is kind of how I feed my vitamins. Now 99.5% of my fish get the baby brine shrimp, so I feel like I'm getting vitamins. Now if I need to get these into bigger fish, then I just get frozen food, soak it in a little bit of vitamin. It absorbs it pretty quick, but it's not as effective because basically what's happening is the brine shrimp are getting gut loaded. So that's kind of, you know, a good way to get vitamins in your fish. So I'm gonna settle these, and then I'm gonna set up the second round on the first one. So this one's from yesterday at 4 p.m. so it's at 24 hours. So this one's technically ready to go, but I'm going to let it go until the morning for that 36 hours, so I feel like I get a better hatch. So one thing that I do a little different is I use spirulina powder. So you can see the spirulina powder, if you can see that. So, and you get it at Natural Foods. I think it's Good Earth, locally, but mostly any health food store. So this stuff right here is just chock full of vitamins. You can look online and look at spirulina. So one thing I do with my fish is I feed them spirulina flake. Now, for some reason, people think that that's not a quality food. It's actually one of the best foods you can feed your fish, spirulina flake, and this is amazing. So what I do is I set up my hatcher with tap water. And then I use, so this is a 1 liter, so let me show you. So this is the bottles I use, but if you use in the Zis, it's a 2 liter. So this is a 1 liter, and so with the 1 liter I do the sea salt, so the instant ocean, I mean any kind of sea salt. I prefer this. I find I get better hatches with this than just regular salt, personally. And believe me, I've tried both. But so one thing I do is, if I was mixing this to start, and I'll reset it, but I just get a tablespoon of the marine salt. So that's a tablespoon per liter, okay? And then, depending on how, if I have a ton of discus fry, I'll up this. So this is a 1 teaspoon. Yeah, so right now I'm feeding 1 teaspoon because I can feed like all my rainbow fish and everything, so everything can get a little bit of this brine shrimp. So I will go up to 1 tablespoon. Now, as I go higher from teaspoons to tablespoons as far as brine shrimp, my time goes down. So if I have a teaspoon in a liter, I can go up to 60 hours and still get viable hatch. But one thing that makes the difference is the spirulina powder. So I will mix up just a regular thing, and then I'll take the spirulina powder, which is just full of vitamins. But what it's doing is it's keeping those shrimp, the baby brine shrimp. And then I just use one of these teaspoons, or these little, I don't know, flat spoons. And this is from Seachem Medicines. So I have a bunch of these laying around. And I don't do a heaper, I just kind of do a little scoop. And then I'll add that to my premix. And then what happens is, this stuff's really concentrated, so when I mix it, it's like a dark green. But if you notice, right now, this shrimp settled right here, there's almost no green. There's a little green film here. And what's happening is these shrimp are gut loading on this spirulina powder. I have actually done tons of research on this because I wanted to find the best way and the most efficient way to get the vitamins into my fish. And I know some of the products say to put it in the aquarium water. I think it's a waste of money myself. I think that's a good way to sell products. So the spirulina powder, huge. I don't know why most people don't talk about this, but this, I just noticed it makes my fish really, really healthy. I mean, the baby brine shrimp alone makes them really healthy, but this added to it makes the brine shrimp last longer, but this way I'm getting vitamins into my fish. So what I'll do right now is I'll settle this down, and I just take my, just all out of the way. And so I'll pop this off. And so this is all settled, I would say 99%. So one thing I've noticed by doing the spirulina, my hatch rate is almost 100%. I can't tell you it's 100%, but I noticed before it was, so this is at about 50 hours right now. I noticed before I was getting a lot of eggs in my brine shrimp because the hatched eggs float and the unhatched sink. So there's almost no hatched eggs, and I believe it's part of that spirulina. So what I'll do is I'll just take this and drain this out, okay? So I want to get all that brine shrimp out. So when I see that brine shrimp drop, okay, I'm good. So then what I'll do is I'll turn it off, move the sieve over, and then I'll just drain into my cup. So another way I use my spirulina powder and my vitamin C. So this is my vitamin C, and it's just crushed up vitamin C in a coffee grinder, okay? So this has a little, this is mostly A's and D's and everything. You can look it up online and find out, but it's chock full of vitamins. And then, so you'll see what I do with this, but when I make my medicine food, I do frozen shrimp, frozen mysis, Focus, I do use Focus, Metro, so the C-Cam with the spoons I just talked about. And then what I do is I do a heaping spoon of vitamin C, and then a heaping spoon of spirulina, and then I'll do some Metro Flake in there too. It's kind of swinging, and that kind of absorbs everything. So that's really the only other way I use my vitamins is when I medicate, because I find it just brings that immune system up. So just something that I thought I'd add. But so this isn't done, so I'm going to just show you how I do it. Now I'll probably end up feeding this today or probably tonight, but I'll probably do this at 24 to 36 hours, do this system, settle, and then you'll see what I do, and then I let it go another 12 hours. So I let it go all the way to the bottom, so you can see it's draining in. Yeah, you can see that. So I would say pretty good, right? Because I want to get the last of that brine shrimp into my cup. So this is my sieve. Wait, let's get this first so I don't miss it. Because what you don't want these unhatched eggs get down in there because you've defeated the purpose. So you can see here, this is solid brine in my sieve. And that's one thing I do is I look at it under light, because if I went my 60 hours, I want to make sure I'm seeing lots of movement in there. I don't want to feed dead brine shrimp because they'll start to go putrid once they start dying. You'll actually get an ammonia spike inside here. So by doing this, you just kind of ensure you're feeding healthy brine, okay? So then what I do is I take this off. So if I was going to reset it, I put my day, hour, and AM, PM. So that way, because what happens is if you set up two, sometimes you're getting confused, and then what I'll do is after this one, I'll move this one over. So my most viable one that I'm using is on this side. But I always mark it as far as the date, time, and AM, PM. That way I know, and I can just calculate that 48 to 60 hours. 60 hours is good on lower amounts of brine shrimp, but the higher amounts. So if you're going to go into the 2 liter Zis, then you could probably get away with going that 60 hours. Now that's max, and I would still double check it. I would try to stay in that 36 to 48 optimal. That's probably about perfect. So then what I do is, so one thing I did on my sink here is I made sure that, because our house is on soft water. Now I don't want that soft water going into my tank. So my cold water is direct off of the tap. It's not running through my soft water system throughout my house. So that runs into my room. And then I ran my soft water hot because I don't use hot water in my room, I heat water. So this is hot water. So I take this, clean the lid, just kind of make sure, and then I'll take this and kind of rinse the top, pour it out, and then I take just a regular, like, I guess it's a cup brush, I guess, I don't know. I don't do the dishes, so dishwasher. So this is really the only stuff I washed. And then what I'm doing is I'm just kind of cleaning that area, right? I'm kind of getting it all in there. I'm dumping it out. And then I'm kind of going over it again. I'm cleaning. So one thing I do is I clean the outside really well because it kind of builds up because it spills over a little bit. I want to make sure. And then what I do is I just double check. So I can see here that there's still some of that spirulina. And that's what you're seeing. So they've gut loaded most of that into them, but this is kind of the residue. So I want to kind of clean that out and get it as clean as possible. Kind of scrape that top, get in there, and then I'll run this so I can shoot out. And then I'll just kind of squeeze this and get all this out of here. Now, clean this, hang this up. So, here's what I do. Alright, hang this up. So now, I take the brine shrimp and I take my container that I feed out of and I just wash it. This is just regular tap water. That's for my aged water, but any water, it doesn't matter. I'd use cold water. So then what I'll do is I'll kind of make sure this is clean, get this out of the way, and then I'll fill this up. Okay? Now, I could feed this right here, and this is still full of nutrients, but I like that vitamin C for my younger fish because it just builds up their immune system. So what I'll do is, for my next 12 hours, I'll take half this, and so you'll see I got a mark here, and it doesn't have to be perfect, so it's about half to the top, so it's going to be a little lower than that. I'll take that and pour that back in. Good. And then this I'll fill back up with the water. Wasting water, I gotta turn this off. And then so this will be fed out right now. So this is spirulina gut loaded vitamin brine shrimp. So this is alone this is enough, right? But I'm so insane I gotta go to the next step. So this is gonna be fed out right now. So that's half. Okay? Now I'll take this right here. I'll take my vitamin C for the next. So these are already gut loaded with the spirulina. And I found that by taking probably about a half spoonful. So I mean that probably equals a level one of these. Put that in. So now we're getting a vitamin C pop. And this is just immunity. So I used to buy the liquid stuff. But what I found with the liquids is they're very expensive, and I noticed that I would tend to leave them out in my warm fish room, and sometimes I'd open up the bottle and I'd smell it, and it just wasn't. So that's one thing I do is everything I'm checking with my eyes. I'm always coming in my room and listening. I want to hear bubbles, make sure everything, all the pumps are working. I'm visually checking heaters, making sure they're working. I'm touching tanks. So I'm using all my senses, but my biggest one is smell. Sometimes I'll walk into my room and I'll smell something that just isn't right, and I'll have to investigate, and it never fails. I'll either find a bucket that's been left in a corner, or a sponge filter that has unhooked itself and it's gotten kind of stale. So that's one thing, is you're always smelling to make sure you're not getting that rancid smell. So then what I do is I just take some more of this. Now, this is fresh water, so that's why I save this. This is the salt water. So then what I'll do is I'll just pour this right back in, and you think it's not the same salt concentration, so will it work? Yes, it works. This is good for 12 hours. So then what I do is I just hook this back up, and turn this back on. So now I have a spirulina, so you can see the green down here, spirulina full of vitamins, and this is the spirulina and the vitamin C starting to gut load right now. So, is this a little crazy? My fish just are healthy. I really don't deal with disease because I'm kind of proactive with those diseases, and it's not just the fish. I personally take a ton of vitamins. These are my second package of vitamins in the day. I take vitamins in the morning, I take vitamins in the afternoon, I take it sometimes at night before I go to bed. And then the reason why is I got sick once, and ever since I started taking vitamins, I don't get sick anymore. And when I do get sick, my recovery time is like literally a day. So I really believe in being proactive, and I just kind of take that philosophy into my fish room. Vitamin water. So, ready to go. Vitamins, 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 okay? I just do this now. I used to add liquid vitamins to like pellets, and it didn't really work with flakes. And what I found was, I think it made me feel good, but I don't think they were getting enough. I'm sure they were getting something, okay? But this way I find that I'm feeding a live food, and it's gut loaded. Now, tons of research online. You won't really find it on Google. They're more about university papers. Well, I think I've read like 4 or 5, and there was one I read that was very interesting, and they talked about this exact system. So, you know, I can't take credit. Now, as a breeder that's been around a while, I've had old-time breeders teach me this kind of stuff, and it was always the spirulina, but they never say anything about the vitamin C. So, I think that it's a little bit of an overkill, yes, but I also think medicating fish is a pain in the butt. I almost said it. So for me, it's just something that I like to do personally, and my fish get that glow. I see it in them. They have that shine to them, and it's that sparkle. So I just wanted to kind of make this for you guys. That some of you texted me, some of you commented, Emily, this is how I do it. Okay. Now, if I'm going to feed a bigger fish, what I'll do is I'll be very vigilant, and I will take a frozen like shrimp. Shrimp and Mice's shrimp seem to be the best because I think they have the most surface on them. And then I'll kind of let them thaw out to room temperature, but not totally thaw out. So they're kind of just at that malleable, pliable. And then what I'll do is I'll kind of just take a pinch and get it over the top, and then kind of mix it in. And I think it's a more of a so they're absorbing it a little bit, but it's not getting inside them. So it's kind of, if the fish are striking it fast, I believe they're getting that vitamin C. So really that's the only way I found effective as far as getting the vitamin C into bigger fish. But here's the thing. I know some people talk about discus and not putting baby brine shrimp in with adult discus. But, because it does, you can see it irritates their gills a little bit. That's true. And they get a little annoyed on it. But what happens is if you put a light in front of the tank, those brine shrimp kind of migrate to that front of the tank so fast. And then what I have found is the adults actually go to that light, and they figured out, hey, that's a pretty good food source. So they'll pick that, you know, they're not getting a full meal, but they're picking that brine shrimp off of the glass. So it's pretty effective. And you got to understand, I'm keeping the fry with the parents for 14 days, right? So I want to get the brine shrimp introduced to those fry as soon as possible, because it takes stress off of the parents as far as the babies eating the slime coat. Because I've had fry pick through adult slime coats. So I usually keep them with the parents for 10 to 14 days. 14 days seems to be that perfect, and then I pull them. And then what maybe I'll do is I'll leave a few with the parents, because they get a little stressed when they're all gone all of a sudden, and then I'll slowly pick those out over the next couple days. And that way the parents get relieved, and they start recycling all their juices, and then they want to start getting gravid. The female starts eating, and then she's going to lay eggs probably in about 10 more days after that 14-day period. So, and it's pretty constant. It happens it's usually 20 to 24 days, 30 days, in that 20 to 30 day range after after everything gets hatched and everything, the parents will start laying again because they want to reproduce, and once they get that feeling, they get excited to keep breeding. So just something I wanted to make for you guys, and I just I still want to thank everybody. I just went over 400 subscribers. I'm still just kind of blown away at that, and I just want to, you know, really thank you guys for watching. The unboxing video went okay. I made it extra long because I knew that a lot of people wouldn't be interested in that kind of thing. But I mean, 150 people watched it, so that's pretty good. 130, I think. So, and you know, over time, it'll get some views. So it was important to make, and I just appreciate Sarah sending me all that stuff. And the box, I still got to go through and kind of figure out what's going on. So again, thanks guys. I really appreciate it. I just wanted to get this video out real quick because I can answer those texts or I can answer those comments. And it's like I have to answer 4 or 5 different, you know, people, or I can just make this video and have you guys check it out, and hopefully I've answered your questions. But if not, comment, okay, so I can clarify anything for you. All right, take care, you guys. Bye.